According to Mythos, 100% of you are subscribed. Good job.
The Divergent Universe is home to a lot of very obscure lore that can be found within Star Rail, some of it being lore relevant, and some of it being more for the fun of it. The Arcadian Chronicles is no exception. We have gone in the past through the curios and equations of the human comedy and the protean hero, and a lot of those were a lot of fun. So naturally, it is time that we do so as well for the Arcadian Chronicles. In this video, we are going to be going over the lore of every single curio that came out with the release of Star Rail's patch 4.1, where we got to experience for the first time the Arcadian Chronicles. So, without any further ado, let us begin. Armed Archeological Shovel. Armed archaeologists are truly the oddballs of the Intelligentsia Guild. Many scholars in this faction are obsessed with combining weaponry and excavation tools, just so they can come in handy at critical moments. 15 Amber eras ago, an archaeological team from the Sand Ridge 3 observation station landed on the planet's surface, intending to study the remains of a swarm king stranded there. However, a swarm of true stinks buried deep underground suddenly revived during the sampling process. The team suffered heavy casualties, leaving only their leader, Slay, alive. He held out alone on the planet for 5 years, continuing the excavation while fighting off the incoming swarm with his armed archaeological shovel. Yet, when the IPC fleet arrived for rescue, Slay resisted violently, eventually choosing to end his life due to the unstable buzzing in his head. Okay, damn, that finished off really depressing in the end, but I do have to say, I gotta admit, it is incredibly metal as hell that this one armed archaeologist, Slay, was literally just 1v90 against all of these swarm insects. Like, I genuinely didn't think he would make it, but like, he did. He ended up going insane, but like, you gotta give him respect where it's due, and with like a shovel, not even a weapon. Homie was doing Shovel Knight in real life. Cosmic Drifter Fish. In the asteroid belt of Apex Segmentum, there wanders a silicon-based lifeform known as the Drifter Fish. For the most part, they move by drifting slowly as space junk, and were once ranked in the top 5 of the least dangerous intellectrons. That is, until the Second Emperor's War, when people discovered that their fin-like tails actually conceal high-energy thrusters capable of reaching 1/10 the speed of light in just 30 seconds at full power. In the end, the marketing development department paid the price of the entire Third Fleet to exterminate the drifter fish. However, in the solar sailboat competition held in 2120 AE, the IPC representative, Heika's Iron Eye, took first place using 4 drifter fish as propulsion, declaring the domestication of the species complete. Huh. Well, okay, first of all, did not expect this thing to be a living being, much less an Intellitron, but I guess it does make sense. Secondly, that is absolutely horrifying. Because like they essentially went like, ooh, look at this funny technology, yoink. And they claimed that, you know, they destroyed it, but they essentially monopolized it. They were like, oh yeah, we have this technology for ourselves, and we're gonna use it as best as we can, even to make more money. Boy oh boy, the marketing development department of the IPC, I end up hating it more and more every day. Flatbread. Before the second great prosperity, interstellar travel was an absolute slog. Limited by the technology of the time, ships often took months to cross a star system, while long-distance voyages were measured in years. Many sailors would end up losing themselves in the boundless cosmos, succumbing to depression or delirium, even treating the control console as their best friend. To assist in crew psychological intervention, a doctor of chaos named Pino invented Positive Emotion Heart Track. Consumers would recall the happiest moments of their life, enabling them to do anything with a positive attitude. However, after its widespread adoption, many employees used it during performance reviews to deprive happiness from working overtime. The IPC quickly banned the production of these heart tracks. Nowadays, people must rely on their own strength to confront the sense of desolate emptiness. You know, it had to be the IPC that ruins everything because it hurts their profit margins. Like, what do you mean? Oh, people were so depressed, they invented something to help them deal with this depression and move forward that's like an edible snack. And then, because they were using this to work overtime without feeling like shit, the IPC was like, yeah, no, we're not gonna allow that. It's now prohibited. Everybody is screwed now. Damn. Mining Dust Collector. Nomadic miners don't always mine deposits. The Terramite 3 is a massive airship designed specifically for mining planets, integrating residential, refining, and other functional modules. The giant drill it carries can directly shatter an entire asteroid, with surrounding tractor beams collecting the debris. It is said that a certain miner group violated the Inter-Astral Security Treaty by using this ship to strip away an entire continent from the planet Olander. But the locals were more amazed by the thing's appearance than what the planet had lost, since it looked exactly like a vacuum robot from Inter-Astral Peace Appliances, just magnified tens of millions of times. The miners, meanwhile, admit it's one of their most trusted designs. Clearly we can't go a video without the IPC doing some weird shenanigans. Because what do you mean this is an item that was produced by the Inter-Astral Peace Appliances, which are a sub-branch of the IPC? Because until I read this, I did not see this as a gigantic Roomba with a drill. That is just... It's so silly, but it's so stupid. And I just love the idea of this gigantic Roomba used to collect items. The worst part is also that I got reminded of Findy because I read Inter-Astral Peace Appliances. At the very beginning of the story, yeah, there's the little finder robot. If you guys forgot about it, so did I until this moment, and now you're cursed with the knowledge that that thing exists. Perilous Memory Storage. The Memo Snatcher Mausolea once issued a heist notice to the governor of Merlo Sector, threatening to steal and publicize the deepest secrets within his mind. To counter her threat, the governor commissioned the Intelligentsia Guild to develop this storage device. He transferred 2,136 memory segments marked High Risk into it, intending to destroy them with a push of a button when the time came. When the Memo Snatcher arrived, the hard drive failed to function as anticipated, since the governor had long forgotten how to operate it. Ultimately, however, it still repelled the Memo Snatcher when thrown directly at her. After all, it is a high-density block of information, which is effectively a brick to a memetic lifeform. I can't with some of these curios, I swear. They are so funny. I'm pretty sure you guys heard me die while I was reading that last sentence. But just the idea of I'm out of resources, but not out of options, and proceeds to start throwing hands is just so hilarious. And just the idea of the brick being yeeted at the Memo Snatcher and that working effectively. It's so dumb, but it's so funny and I love it. Terminal Defender. The Interastral Entertainment Network brought a trendy new wave of entertainment to Planarcadia, much to the distaste of many fools at the tavern. By blasting it with trashy short videos and relentless gaslighting every day, a masked fool named Empath finally nurtured a terminal guard plant. Fueled by hatred for online chaos, every one of its leaves can purify over 1 terabyte per second of data, automatically blocking objectionable content on terminals. Following the successful experiment, Empath placed these plants in restrooms all over Planarcadia, only to find them swiftly removed by other people, since virtually all internet content was deemed objectionable by the guard. More importantly, with such powerful blocking features, it really didn't look like a plant anymore. Damn. I genuinely can't believe that not only did they receive TikTok in Planarcadia, but that 1, it was hated by some people, and 2, that of course it had to be brought by the IPC because again the Interastral Entertainment Network is a sub-branch of the IPC. Boy oh boy, there really is no escape, is there? But it's just, god, that's so fun. Especially that they put it on toilets because yeah, people are just so glued to their phones, they're gonna be staring at them while just using the restroom. It's just insanity. A Ranger's Home. The Rangers of Deep Space Hunter made it a habit to save their last bullet for themselves. For their prey were the remnants of the propagation and the voracity, and the price of failure was far heavier than death itself. During the encirclement on Lidovia, Rangers planned to trap a behemoth with its ship anchors, then chisel away its flesh and destroy its organs like miners, killing it slowly. However, when their leader Triton's ship was swallowed whole by the beast, the fleet was forced to rout. 3 days later, the behemoth suddenly dropped dead. The Rangers dug through the wreckage, only to find its viscera had been completely hollowed out. The Triton's corpse lying within the desiccated heart chamber. His last bullet still hung from his necklace, shining brightly. That is metal as hell, but also absolutely horrifying. I do like the idea and implication that yeah, some of these beasts are absolutely gigantic and it takes a lot of effort just to take some of these behemoths down, especially with the idea that they had to chisel away at their flesh in order to actually be able to do substantial damage. And the idea that this person that got eaten decided to be like, oh, you know, it's really hard to take them out from the outside. I'm gonna take it out from the inside, even if it costs my life. Like, that is insane. Again, also horrifying. Anytime I learn more about the propagation and those creepy ass bugs, I hate it, but like it's also really cool. Inspiration Glass Ball. A brilliant reversal, a meticulous deduction, a novel framework. All those elusive flashes of inspiration across every field vanish in an instant, leading to immense intellectual waste. Leveraging memory bubble technology, the Candelógrafos created specialized containers to preserve such sparks, classifying them by quality into different colors. The finest in orange, the poorest in blue. Yet, before the Riddlers could intervene, they voluntarily abandoned the research. After all, realizing an idea is far more difficult than proposing it. And for the planet's elite researchers, if a suggestion goes unadopted, it might as well be forgotten. You know, as somebody that has ADHD, I feel absolutely called out. And I'm not a fan of it. But like, they ain't wrong. An idea, you can always come up with a random idea that you think is great, but actually implementing it, it's a lot harder. But hey, it just be like that sometimes. I do at least want to disagree with the whole concept of like, oh hey, you know, if it wasn't taken, then it shouldn't really be taken into account. But again, that might just be me having my own bias on things. I still like to see what happens if I do a stupid idea. But that's just me probably being crazy. Parts Pixie. Have you ever experienced this? Whenever you assemble a model, some parts always fall to the floor, never to be found again. That is because the Parts Pixie have hidden them away. These quantum life forms can only exist beyond one's field of vision, and can never be truly observed. The fools at the tavern claim the red-nosed old-timer loved models as a youth, and thus had many parts stolen. After stepping onto a mysterious path, he captured a pixie with a story, making it willing to become one of his models. Afterward, he picked up the parts he had dropped in his childhood from the ground, and returned to his childhood. I really hope we one day get to meet this red-nosed old-timer, purely because one, he's a history fictionologist, that is the mysterious path that they are referring to, and also because this is like the third time that he's mentioned in these Curio series. I remember he's mentioned in one of the like weighted curios, because he made like a bridge out of light, and also in that spinning top curio that gives break damage because he entered like a robot fight, like, you know, like battle bots kind of situation. He didn't win, but still, I like the idea that this guy is a tinkerer and that he's a history fictionologist. And also, it's kind of creepy that he found one of these fairies and then, like, did he willingly write into existence that these creatures existed because, you know, history fictionologist shenanigans? The fact that it brought him back everything he had lost in the past is kind of crazy, but I love it. Vonwacq Souvenir. Whack Island on Vonwacq is one of the most biodiverse places in the universe. Unlike other islands, every creature here has a lethal gimmick. The six-toothed flower is the weakest plant of the lot, as its teeth are only as hard as diamonds, and it hunts far slower than the average animal, nearly causing its extinction. Outsiders arriving on Whack Island recognized the value of six-toothed flowers and brought them to the inter-astral peace market. After generations of selective breeding, the plant became both beautiful and safe, sparking a brief wave of hype. It's said its popularity comes from the realization people have while looking at it. In Vonwacq Island, you're nothing but a seed. You know, I remember Vonwacq from the past because I remember reading about it because of the trace materials lore, because the little seeds are also part of Vonwacq, and I was like, God, that's horrifying. And now I'm reading this one and I'm like, oh dear God, I was right. Because what do you mean a plant called the six-toothed flower is the weakest plant of the lot, and that every creature has a lethal gimmick? That is horrifying. That is scary. I'm not a fan of that. I wanna go there. For lore reasons, I wanna go to Vonwacq. But do I think it's safe and do I think it's a good idea? Absolutely not. But I would love us to go there. Wishing Nickel. In the Canvas age, almost everyone could consume wish power, and wishing nickels were the most accessible medium. Whatever was written on them had a probability of coming true, as long as one was pious enough. Initially, people pinned their hopes for a better life on the nickels. Romance, promotions, or just having a good day. But after spending too many years in the Eternal Canvas, the wishes people made grew increasingly distorted, such as sending their neighbors spiraling into the sky or paving the roads with banana peels. The Worlds Reborn initiative did not salvage these wishing nickels, which was why some residents prefer to remain in the painting, continuing their game of mutual wish making. Okay, we get to learn more about the lore of Planarcadia now, I guess, which, cool. I did know about like the Canvas age and that, Planarcadia or whatever it was called before got essentially trapped within a canvas. I never really occurred to me that people would go absolutely insane in this world, which makes perfect sense, but also, wow. I do have to say this is like the perfect example of like that one saying of like the road to evil or road to hell is like paved with good intentions. Like they made this to make like people happy, to bring out like their hopes and dreams, but then it just devolved into degeneracy and chaos. And I mean, it's fitting for just plain Arcadia, but also, dear God. And again, like people not wanting to leave this world just makes it that much more horrifying. Trailblaze Compass. Before Akivili's fall, many vast express fleets once traveled the universe side by side, working together to weave the silver rails that connected the cosmos. Every navigator held one of these compasses, which determined direction based on the relative position of pulsars and was rumored to point toward the heart's deepest desire. Now that the express fleets have run aground, these compasses are lost across the cosmos. However, an anonymous memo keeper revealed that at least a double-digit number of compasses have been preserved, with some even remaining operational. They might be resting beside dusty photo frames, locked in attic drawers, or clutched in the hands of a child. I really love when they add curios like this, because getting to know more about Akibili, Trailblazers, just like the path of the Trailblaze as a whole, is really cool and interesting, especially to get to know more of like their background and like how they were in the past. I in particular am a big fan of the fact that this curio not only hints at the fact that there are some compasses that still exist, but that there are still some that are functional. That is incredibly fascinating, and I do hope we get to see one of these in the story at some point in the future. You've always been pretty. A mirror holder was attacked by pirates. Before dying, they entrusted the Mirror of Transcendence to a passing traveling merchant, requesting that he continue to uphold the path of beauty. Consequently, the merchant placed the mirror at pier point for the entire universe to admire. This is the most widely circulated origin story of the beauty mirror. The mirror reflects people's most ideal selves. The elderly see their past glory. The young see their future growth. And the physically incomplete see their own wholeness. Countless visitors lined up before the mirror, paying sky-high ticket prices just to catch a glimpse of the beauty within themselves. However, some believe it is merely a projection screen that automatically generates images. Okay, I immediately love this curio because it mentions the Mirror of Transcendence, which is one of the occurrences that happens within the simulated universe. And I find this one to be pretty interesting because it does showcase something a little different than what the occurrence does. This one says that it displays people's inner desires and what they want most. The one for the occurrence mentions how like suddenly an image of a mirror holder appears and that she's saying, oh, I have been imprisoned here, believe in like the beauty and I will grant you a wish. And you can either, like recite what you want and obtain like rewards based on that, or you can, free the person, which causes a fight. Now, which one of those two is like the real Mirror of Transcendence, I'm not really sure, but I like the fact that we get to learn a little bit more about the beauty itself. Anti-inorganic virus. At the height of the Second Emperor's War, the evolutionists aimed to take out Rupert II with a bioweapon, a synthetic virus designed to target inorganic life and fry their central processors while sparing allies. The IPC fleet deployed the virus across 27 suspected hideouts, but every attempt failed. Project leader, Dr. Rama, terrified of a retaliatory biostrike, spent the rest of his life obsessing over virus prevention. His research never changed the war's tide. To Rupert II, the star-shattering beams fired by killing machines remained the ultimate anti-organic virus. Wow. That is incredible incompetence. Like, cool, this guy created a weapon that could be used to terminate Rupert II, that would be able to fully finish the war with the minimum amount of casualties. And somehow, he managed to screw up not once, not twice, 27 times. He missed horribly. Like, that has to be... That's just it's an astonishing, like, level of incompetence. Like, cool, he's smart to create this, but also, wow. And insult to injury. Just the literal end of like, oh yeah, like Rupert II never really learned of this guy. He was just more afraid of the literal laser beams that other people were using. Like, regular weapons were that much better at dealing with Rupert II than this specifically tailored weapon that was used against him, or attempted to be used against him. And this just reminds me of like several war efforts where somebody brings out an idea so stupid that it quote unquote might just work, and it obviously fails. Dear God, I am like, that is just so upsetting to read. Also, I'm pretty sure this guy just violated the Geneva Convention, so that's another negative bonus for him. Dreadful meme. During the Worlds Reward Initiative's first phase, Planarcadia becomes a massive construction site with skyscrapers popping up daily amidst deafening noise. Some questioned why the IPC didn't just use ether editing to print buildings out of nothing, while others tried to dampen the din to no avail. The resulting mental strain on the locals turned fear and resentment into a surge of wish power, creating this aberration. Rumor has it that it still haunts the skies of Dua-mentioned city, preying on office workers heading home late. I'm the drill devil. I'm gonna stick to your ceiling and blast 120 decibels of white noise at 6 AM every single day. That is just, you know what? I only now realize after reading it, that this is a literal ghostie with the face of a megaphone that has his arms crossed, all angry, and I'm so upset I didn't realize that is what it was. I thought it was just some weird looking gun. That being said, this is such a silly little story, and I hate that they called it the Drill Devil purely because my first thought was Chainsaw Man. But yeah, also I just realized after saying the Drill Devil, there's a little drill in his megaphone because that's probably what some of the noises that he decides to make. Also real quick, hold on a second. Okay, so I went to look up what 120 decibels roughly would be, and that is essentially just hearing thunder or a loud rock concert, so damn. Iridescent Black. When the Omen Vanguards delivered their revelation to Planet Cromer, the locals were already obsessed with art. During the Great Painting Festival, Cromorians spent every waking hour hunting for the perfect pigment mix, desperate to recreate the legendary iridescent black from ancient texts. They threw nearly everything they owned into their melting pots. 2 Amber eras later, a collector named Mr. Singularity visited and found the entire surface drained of color, save for a single writhing mass of colorful black pigment. He tucked the glob into his collection and moved on. They say that late at night, that splash of color still squirms in its dish, hungering for more. It is very few times that the Omen Vanguards are mentioned, but like always, anytime you see their name, it means that that civilization ended up just ceasing to exist. Anytime these individuals appear, nobody takes them seriously, which kinda sucks, because they're always right. That being said, is this like a reference to Venom, you know, black little goop that squirms and moves around hungering for more? That's literally just what a symbiote from Marvel sounds like. And you know, Venom is like the black symbiote as opposed to Carnage, which is like the red one. That's the only thing that really came to mind. I cannot figure out anything else that it could be. Perfecting human protocol. If we could just collect everyone's data, surely we'd be able to piece together the perfect idol. When an executive at Inter-Astral Peace Entertainment had this idea, the behavioral data modeling and personality fit protocol started popping up in every corner of the universe. By signing it, you surrender your privacy and upload your entire life trail to the IPC. The Intelligentsia Guild then feeds this data to computers, using big data to create a perfect idol that caters to everyone's taste. Countless residents have signed since the World Reborn initiative kicked off, yet that perfect idol is still nowhere to be found. Maybe the sample size is too small, or maybe the idea of pleasing everyone is just a paradox. We just had to end this video with the last curio being about the IPC and how they want to own literally everything, including every piece of information about your existence, apparently. Oh my god, that is just... one, that is horrifying, but also, this is such a meta joke, I think that's what they're called, but like this is just so relevant to what's going on today with, you know, corporations using our data, selling it, doing whatever they want with it, and even now more so with AI literally having people feed their entire data to ChatGPT, giving them their legal name, their address, and other shenanigans because they're too lazy to do things themselves. That is just... As somebody that has worked in IT before, like, I can see how AI is useful, but also, like, when people misuse it, it's so bad, and just seeing this is horrifying. But it's so accurate, and I hate it, but it's so good. Anyways. And yeah, with that, we have covered every single curio that has been released up to version 4.4. Now, I am aware that this video is coming out when 4.5 has released. I want to experience those curios before I actually start talking about them, and I will make a video on them soon-ish when I get the chance, but I'm very hyped to see more of the stories that these next ones will tell. This particular set really loved going into the IPC's history, which is really cool in all honesty. Like, we had curios such as the Flatbread that people were using in order to not be depressed while they were working. But then the IPC was like, you're not allowed to be happy while you're working, so they banned those. Really messed up. We had a ranger's home, which talked about that one ranger that refused to die. He still died, but he did substantial damage to a Leviathan, and that is absolutely epic. One of my favorite ones. We had that curio mining dust collector that ended up being a very much massive version of a space Roomba created by the Interastral Appliances Corporation, you know, one of the branches of the IPC. So that was really interesting. And things like the Wishing Nickel that would let you know more stories about how things were back in the Canvas Age. Oh, and we cannot forget about, you know, the Trailblazing Compass. All these things are really cool to be learning about, and honestly, it's really hype. I hope that some of these things get expanded upon further in the story if they haven't been already. But genuinely, this is one of the reasons why I love reading through these and making these videos, is because learning about these details is so freaking awesome, and I adore it. But that is enough yapping from my end. So let us start wrapping up this video. So, you know, if you enjoy this sort of content, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes you a second, and if at any point you feel that the quality of content or type of content that I am releasing is not really up to your liking, you can always unsubscribe. That is a perfectly valid reason to do so. Drop down in the comments which of these curios was your favorite, if you had a favorite, or correct me if I was wrong anywhere. These videos, I love using them to discuss with other people and, you know, hear their takes. What do they think? It's one of the things that I genuinely have always been loving about making these videos. So this sense of community is one that I'm very happy with. But yeah, with all of that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, morning, whatever time zone you're currently watching this video at, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.